Hello once again, viewers out there. This is your marriage doctor, Samuel Isichi. And I'll be anchoring again today the segments on marriage mastery. In our last edition, we talked about the marriage and how it was instituted by God. The things that the man needs to know, the things that the woman needs to know, the role of the woman in the marriage, the role of the man in the marriage. Today, we will be looking into communication in marriage, as it is a vital aspect that when it is ignored can cause chaos in marriages. I implore you to invite your friends, your spouses, your would-be wife or husband. Please share this broadcast. You may be saving a life by doing so. You may be saving a marriage by taking that step. There are three ways you can be part of this program. It is either you are commenting, it is either you are sharing, or you're liking the page. And when you do this, whenever we are live like this, you may receive a notification. Now let's dive into today's topic, which is communication in marriage. Before we talk about the communication in marriage, I want to talk to us on the process of communication generally. There is a chart in communication. We may not have to physically draw out the chart, but I'll try to explain so that you know the chains of communication. In the process of communication, there's what we call the intended effect, the intended content, the intended effects, the perceived content, and the actual effect. Now, I go again. We have the intended content, the intended effects, the perceived content, and the actual effects. Now, under the intended content, it is what you have in mind to say. What you have in mind to say. Under the intended effect, it is how the person receives the message, what will be the outcome of that intended content. There's what we call the perceived content, and there's what we call the actual effect. In that chain of communication, there is the message. There is the medium by which such message will be passed across. There is the encoder of that message. There is the decoder, which is the receiver of the message. So I talked about the perceived content, the actual effect. In the chain of communication, there is on the top of the chart what is called the noise or interference. And that is where the communication is not clear. Then there is what we call the feedback, because in every communication, there must be a feedback. When the content of your communication is understood, there is a positive feedback. And when your conversation is not clear, there is a negative feedback. And this can be either by interference. When there is interference in communication, it can affect, the potency of your conversation. Now let's bring it back to the marriage. A lot of people just talk without processing their communication, their information rather. When you are the person who does not think through your, information, you don't think through what you want to say, you may end up, dishing out what will cause tension, strife, chaos in your marriage. Having spoken to us about the process of communication, I want to now say that it is imperative that we learn how to communicate in our marriages, because 90% of the challenges in the marriage falls back on how we communicate what we say. A lot of people may have the right thing to say, but how to process it, how to pass that information across, to be understood, is a big challenge. When what is said is not what it meant, what ought to be done remain undone, and that can lead to confusion. A lot of times in marriages, the spouse, it could be the lady, it could be the man, you just want to be heard, but you don't want, to hear people speak. You don't want to hear your partner speak. A lot of times when one person is talking, the other person is listening with the mind, rather than processing the thought from your heart. A lot of times you listen to defend, rather than listen, to see that there is solution in what the person is saying. So when you listen to defend, you will always be at the offensive. And that is why we have a lot of challenges in marriages. Now, we should understand, now talking to the men, that marriage is not monologue. The marriage between a man and a woman is not monologue. Marriage is dialogue. You should be able to communicate and also give room to your partner to air his or her own view. You don't just judge from one side of the coin. Otherwise, you are going to make a lot of blunders in your marriage. Now, there are three different kinds of communication, or three ways to communicate. But you see, we have employed or deployed two of the communication style, but the last one, which for me is the most important in communication, because without it there cannot be a very sound communication. Now in Nigeria generally, we understand these two kinds of communication, which is the oral communication and the written communication. But there is another form of communication which a lot of us have not taken note of. It is called listening. Listening is a form of communication. And a lot of people are very impatient to listen, to process what has been communicated to them. They are very sentimental, they are very emotional. So when they feel that their egos are hurt, they want to reply immediately so that you will not feel that they are inferior to you. By so doing, they end up making errors. It is very important that you understand that there is what we call communication skill. You should learn it. You should learn how to talk. You should learn how to listen. You should learn how to process every conversation. You should learn how, to give feedback when you communicate. If you don't know all these things, you are going to have issues. In communication, there's what we call the 5 W's and the 1 H. And I'm going to dwell on this. The 5 W and 1 H. Whether you are the man or you are the woman, you should understand the dynamics of the 5 W and 1 H. A lot of persons may be asking, what is this 5 W and the 1 H? Should I give you that as a puzzle? Or you want us to explore it? If you want us to explore it, please just comment and say what is a 5W and 1H. I'll be waiting for you in the next 5 seconds to 1 minute. What is the 5W and 1H? You want me, if I get a response or two, then I can go ahead. All right, I can see my men behind the camera looking and waiting to give me a signal for the 5 W's and 1 H. Okay, I can go ahead. Okay, now let's talk about the 5 W and 1 H. Number 1 of the W is what? Number 2 is why. Then number 3 is when. Then number 4 is where. Then number 5 is who. And the H is how. All these come to play in our marriages. Most times, you need to ask yourself a question. What is it that I want to say? What is it that I want to say? And why do I want to say what I have to say? Now, the what is the thing that you have in mind that you want to communicate. The why is the reason why you want to communicate that which is in your mind. Then we have the where to communicate, which speaks of the environment. Which speaks of the environment. Yes, probably you are with your wife in her family house where she has, her younger brother, her younger sister, and your husband did something you didn't quite like. You are not sensitive to where you want to correct your husband. You just lash him in public, in the presence of your family members, bringing his reputation down, bringing his ego down. He will react. Or you are in the midst of his friends. We're talking about where to say what you want to say. You may have a point, but is the environment okay to say what you want to say? It is very important to know the what you want to say, the why, which is the reason for saying what you want to say. Is your reason justifiable? Are you selfish about what you have in mind to say? In what way will it benefit your marriage? In what way will it impact on the person you want to talk to? Then I said there where to say it. You must create an environment where when you say what you want to say, it will be appreciated. The next is when to say it. There must be a right timing. That is what the when is, about. Your husband is just coming back from work. He has not taken water. You have not properly welcomed him to the house. And you see, you just start lashing him from the gate. Honey, did you buy what I asked you to buy today? You just start lashing. For instance, your husband gave you 10,000 when he was leaving the house and said, honey, I need you to buy soup ingredients. I know that in Nigeria we are today, you can't use 10,000 naira successfully to cook a pot of soup. So this is an illustration for men who give their wife 10,000 naira. You need to repent. Now you see, as you give your wife the 10,000 naira for the pot of soup, you know, I'm talking about the when, and your wife prepared the meal. Then when you come back home, your wife serves you, and she sits right in front of you. And as you are eating, you will hear your wife say, honey, do you like it? You say, yes, I do. As soon as you bite the meat, she will ask you, is it soft? You say, yes, I love it. You see, a woman who is not sensitive will say, honey, you think say the money when you give me today, now take buy that meat. Only that meat now 10,000 naira. I see they owe the person when I buy the meat from. Now, you may have a point, you may have helped to, you know, ameliorate that issue of calling him to say provide money because the money is not enough. Now, you would have allowed him enjoy that meal. It is not when he started eating, it's a wrong timing that you now start telling him about how you bought the meat on credit or how you bought the food he's eating on credit. He will lose his appetite. Or is it when you are having sex on the bed, as soon as the man is in the mood to perform his conjugal duty, do not remind him that he has not bought that woman hair he promised you. That if he does not respond to that, there will be no show. You have destroyed the atmosphere with just that conversation. You have destroyed the mood of that moment. Timing is very essential. Timing. You must know the fifth one, which is the who you are talking to. You should be able to know, you know, your man. Men, you should be able to know your wife. You know her mood, you know her emotion, you know what she's cool with. Then the only H is how do you communicate these things you have in mind. So I've talked about the what, the why, the where, the when, the who, and the how. You may have a very good point, but if you don't know how to communicate your thoughts, it may be offensive. Now, for instance, the woman you want to, you know, eat, let's say, vegetable soup. Don't just, a man has provided the money, his opinion counts. Don't just say, I want to eat a vegetable soup. You could come, you know, that's the skill I'm talking about. Oh, honey, I feel like eating vegetable soup. How about you? That how about you is inclusiveness. You are trying to know his opinion. Honey, I would like us to eat vegetable soup. What do you think? You are giving him room to communicate. You are letting him know that he has a right to also, you know, determine what you guys should be eating. When you share your thoughts and the next person is not agreeing with your conversation, don't say you are lying. You can say, I don't think so. You can say, oh, well, that's not my view. I don't share in that view. Rather than telling the man you are lying, yeah, you have come again with your lies. That could spark fire. That could lead to a breakdown in communication. Another thing that can destroy your union is silence. Silence. Learn to communicate. Learn to dialogue without, riff. In this part of the world, we have a challenge with, conflict and peace resolution. Everything is about, it's my right, it's my right. When somebody is not agreeing to you, you can see it on Facebook, on the social media. When somebody does not agree with your opinion, you resort to curse. You resort to insults. You resort to insults. So long as what the person is saying, you are not in agreement with it, rather than to deploy more better ways to say, that's not my school of thought. No, I do not agree with you. Or that's not my opinion. Oh, maybe you have a different perspective to, that conversation. You just say you are a liar. Sometimes people will even go as far as saying you are a dollar. You are very ignorant. Some people even say you are very stupid for airing your own view. And when we have these kind of things in a marriage, it causes a lot of challenges. Men, learn to listen. Women, learn to listen. Learn to communicate intelligently. If there are things you shouldn't respond to, don't respond immediately. You could think over it again and again before you give your response. It's not compulsory that you must dish out words when someone is talking. Not every time is needed. There are times you need to sit down and think over it. You could just say, okay, well, I don't have anything to say for now. Let me think about it. Okay, I'll get back to you. There are so many simple ways to communicate without lashing on the person you are talking with. There are so many men who don't want to talk because when they open their mouth to talk, insult. There are so many women who, the man wants to tell them that he's in charge. I've said this severally and over, that the day a man says to the wife, hey, don't you know I am the head of this house? You have lost your headship. The day you remind your wife that you are the head of the house, just know that you have become the woman of the house. Because a man should not remember the wife that he is the head of the house because he knows his place as the man. Women, don't push. What I say must stand. No, you don't have that. You don't have that prerogative to say what I said must stand. You should be submissive. Look for better way to win your communication. Every man is a political animal. And in marriage, there is a bit of politics. You should learn how to dialogue. Don't be like the Nigerian politicians who use insult and abusive words to pass their words across to their opponents. There are better ways to communicate without being offensive or without offending others. If you learn how to communicate in your marriage will become a better place to live. It will become a safe harbor. As I begin to round up on this segment, we are going to talk more on the various kind of communication, because we have various ways to communicate. We have the verbal, we have the non-verbal communication, we have the stimuli, the signs and symbols in communication. We have, the medium of communication. It could be through oral communication, it could be through writing, mails and all that, electronic media. We have a lot of these things. But we're going to talk about it in our subsequent broadcast. But for today, I want you to think on what I've said. If you have learned anything at all, if there's anything to go by from what I've said, I want you to give a thumbs up. I want you to, comment. I want you to like, and I want you to share. And I trust that if you learn the skill of communication, before you know it, your marriage will become a safe heaven here on earth. Thank you for following us, and God bless you. I remain Samuel Isichi, your marriage doctor, on the program Marriage Mastery. Thank you.